When dreams become deadly. The piercing wail of sirens shattered the quiet suburban morning in Calgary's Kensington district at exactly 7:15 a.m. on March 26, 2024. Detective Sarah Martinez stepped out of her patrol car, her breath visible in the crisp Canadian air, as she approached the two-story house that neighbors described as the perfect love story. But love stories don't usually end with decomposing bodies hidden in basements. The call had come in 3 days earlier. A trembling, accented voice on the 911 recording that would later become evidence in one of Canada's most shocking murder cases. Please help me. My husband David, he never came home from work. I'm so scared. I don't know what to do in this country. I'm alone here. The voice belonged to Asha Morrison, 29 years old, married to David Morrison for exactly 4 months and 12 days. To everyone who knew them, she was the grateful Indian bride who had found salvation in a kind Canadian man's love. The neighbors called them couple goals. The local Indian community celebrated their story as proof that cross-cultural marriages could work. But as Detective Martinez descended into David's basement workshop, following the overwhelming stench of death, she discovered that sometimes the most beautiful love stories are actually the most calculated crimes. Behind the water heater, wrapped in plastic sheets like a discarded package, lay the remains of 58-year-old David Morrison, the software consultant who had spent his final months teaching broken English to his beloved wife, sending money to her struggling family in India, and planning their first anniversary celebration. The irony was suffocating. While Asha had been calling police crying about her missing husband, she had been sleeping directly above his rotting corpse for 3 weeks. Security footage would later reveal the truth that shattered every assumption about the grieving widow. At 3:17 a.m. on March 21, 5 days before she reported David missing, cameras captured Asha dragging heavy garbage bags from her basement to the street. Alone. Methodical. Calm. The woman who claimed she needed her husband's help to understand Canadian systems had somehow managed to dispose of evidence in the middle of the night with the precision of someone who knew exactly what she was doing. To understand how a traditional Indian housewife became one of Canada's most cold-blooded killers, we need to travel back 18 months to a small village outside Chandigarh, India, where desperation was about to meet opportunity in the most deadly way possible. Asha Kumari wasn't born a killer. She was born into poverty that would drive anyone to desperate measures. Her father, once a proud factory supervisor, had lost his job during the COVID lockdowns and never recovered. Her mother, Kamala, lay bedridden with diabetes, unable to afford the insulin that kept her alive. The family owed 18 lakh rupees to local moneylenders who charged 60% interest and weren't known for their patience with defaulters. At 29, Asha faced the crushing reality that defined millions of Indian women. She was considered too old for marriage in a society that valued youth above all else. Her younger sister had already been married off, leaving Asha as the family's last hope for a financially advantageous alliance. "Beta, we have failed you," her father had whispered during one of their darkest nights. "We have nothing left to give." That's when the advertisement appeared at the local internet cafe, like an answer to prayers that had grown desperate. Maple Dreams International, connecting hearts across continents. Canadian men seeking traditional Indian brides. Guaranteed visa approval. The agency's representative, a well-dressed woman who spoke of Canadian opportunities and loving foreign husbands, painted a picture that seemed too good to be true. And as every true crime enthusiast knows, when something seems too good to be true, it usually is. David Morrison's profile read like a fairy tale. Recently widowed software consultant, net worth 2.8 million Canadian dollars, seeking a traditional, family-oriented Indian bride who needs citizenship and a fresh start. His photo showed kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, graying hair, and the gentle smile of a man who had loved deeply and lost painfully. What the profile didn't mention was David's crushing loneliness after his wife's death from cancer, his estrangement from his only brother over inheritance disputes, and his vulnerability to anyone who showed him genuine affection. The 6-month courtship that followed was a masterpiece of emotional manipulation disguised as cross-cultural romance. Their video calls began awkwardly, with Asha speaking broken English and David patiently correcting her grammar. But David was a natural teacher, and Asha was an exceptional student, not of English, but of human psychology. She learned that David's wife had died on a Tuesday, that he still set two places at dinner, that he cried during Bollywood movies because they reminded him of happiness. She discovered his guilt about not having children, his regret about working too much, his desperate need to feel needed again. And David, lonely and grieving, fell completely for the shy, grateful young woman who seemed to hang on his every word. When Asha's mother had a medical emergency that required expensive treatment, David didn't hesitate to wire $15,000. When the family faced eviction, he sent another $20,000. Each transaction deepened his emotional investment in their relationship and Asha's apparent gratitude. What David didn't know was that while he was falling in love with her vulnerability, Asha was researching Canadian inheritance laws with the focus of a law student. She knew that spouses inherited automatically, that life insurance paid double for accidental deaths, and that the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act made widow status almost impossible to challenge. Their October wedding at a Toronto courthouse was small but emotional. David wore his late wife's favorite tie, believing it would bring them luck. Asha wore a red sari that had belonged to her grandmother, tears streaming down her face as they exchanged vows. The tears were real. Not from joy, but from the knowledge of what she was planning to do to the kind man who was promising to love and protect her. The flight to Calgary felt like a dream to David, who couldn't stop smiling as he pointed out landmarks to his new bride. For Asha, it was the beginning of a performance that would last exactly 4 months, 2 weeks, and 5 days. The house tour was everything David had promised. 1,200 square meters of suburban paradise, paid in full, with David's name on the deed and Asha's about to be added as joint owner. "This is all ours now," David said, his arm around her waist as they stood in the master bedroom. "You're safe here forever, Jan." Asha smiled and nestled closer to him, already calculating how much the property would be worth when she became a widow. The neighbors embraced them immediately. Such a sweet couple, Mrs. Peterson from next door would later tell reporters. David was so proud of her, always bragging about her cooking, how grateful she was, how she was teaching him about Indian culture. The local Indian community adopted Asha as their success story. Here was proof that immigration marriages could work, that cross-cultural love could overcome any obstacle, that dreams really could come true. But on the evening of March 15, 2024, as David slept peacefully beside his beloved wife, Asha's phone buzzed with an encrypted message that would change everything. Package delivered to construction site. Target practice complete. March 20th confirmed. Are you ready to become a widow? Asha looked at her sleeping husband, his face peaceful and trusting, and typed back without hesitation. He trusts me completely. This will be easier than we planned. As she deleted the message and settled back into bed, David stirred slightly and murmured, "Love you, Jan." "I love you too, darling," she whispered back. But her eyes, reflecting the phone's blue glow, were as cold as the Calgary winter outside. Behind every perfect wife. 3 months before David Morrison's murder, a message appeared in the Indians in Calgary support WhatsApp group, "Need immigration lawyer. Facing deportation. Please help." The sender was Raj Singh, 34, illegal immigrant, construction worker living in shared basement with 6 men. His tourist visa expired in 2019, but he stayed, sending money to Punjab while dodging ICE raids. Asha's response seemed innocent, "I can help. Tim Hortons downtown tomorrow." Their first meeting wasn't about lawyers. Within minutes, something dangerous sparked. 2 desperate predators recognizing hunger in each other's eyes. "Systems rigged against us," Asha whispered during their second meeting at downtown hotel room paid with David's credit card. "They want us grateful, dependent, disposable." "So what do we do?" Raj asked. "Take what we deserve," she said coldly. "Rich white men think they can buy us. Time to turn tables." That conversation birthed David's murder plan. Not passion, cold calculation wrapped in shared resentment. Over 6 weeks, they strategized like military planners. Asha mapped David's routines: coffee 6 a.m., work 8 to 5, basement workshop 9 to 11 p.m. She documented his medical conditions, calculated his worth, $2.8 million. Practice sessions happened at abandoned warehouse. Raj, experienced with construction tools, perfected crowbar technique. Single temple blow. Quick, efficient, minimal blood. Asha rehearsed grief performance, studying YouTube videos of real widows, practicing voice tremors and breathing patterns. After 6 months marriage, inheritance automatic, she explained, consulting legal documents. Less suspicious than newlywed widow. But maintaining double life exhausted her. With David, she performed perfect wife. Morning chai, lunch love notes, foot massages during TV, genuine laughter at his jokes. Her body betrayed her, responding physically to his gentle touch despite everything. With Raj, she unleashed truth. Volcanic hotel encounters fueled by shared hatred. These men collect brown wives like trophies, Raj whispered. We'll show them real control. David wasn't blind. Asha's English improved too rapidly. She understood finances despite claiming confusion. Phone behavior became secretive, hiding screens, stepping outside for calls. February 2024. David hired private investigator. 3 weeks later, report arrived. Asha had gambling debts, not family medical bills. Marriage agency connected to suspicious deaths. Evidence of romantic relationship with illegal immigrant. David scheduled confrontation for March 21st. March 20th, Asha intercepted investigators' email, additional evidence, romantic relationship confirmed. Hands shaking, she called Raj, move tonight. He knows everything. That evening, David returned excited about dinner plans, unaware his wife prepared death instead of food. 9:47 p.m., David headed to basement workshop. Asha unlocked back door, texted Raj, he's downstairs. Come now. 9:52 p.m., Raj's crowbar connected with David's skull. The kind man who'd sent money to strangers' family dropped like discarded tool. Asha descended stairs, looked at body without emotion, checked pulse clinically. Good, she told Raj. Help me wrap him. Lifting David's corpse, his phone buzzed. Lawyer's text, David, will changes ready tomorrow. Wife won't inherit if marriage under 2 years. Smart precaution. Asha read message and smiled coldly. Killed him just in time. 3 days above a corpse. The silence after David's skull cracked was deafening. For 30 seconds, Asha and Raj stood frozen, staring at the body sprawled across the basement concrete. Blood pooled around David's head like spilled paint, spreading faster than either had anticipated. There's so much blood, Raj whispered, his hands trembling. This wasn't supposed to. Stop, Asha snapped, her voice cutting through his panic. We knew there would be blood. Help me. What followed was 4 hours of nightmare that neither had fully prepared for. Blood had splattered across workshop walls, soaked into storage boxes, dripped onto David's collection of vintage tools. The metallic smell filled the basement like copper fog. They scrubbed with bleach until their hands burned raw. Asha had purchased industrial cleaning supplies weeks earlier, claiming spring cleaning to curious store clerks. But television crime shows hadn't prepared them for reality. Blood seeps into concrete pores, hides in microscopic cracks, leaves traces that even amateur eyes could spot. By 2 a.m., they faced crisis. Original plan required removing David's body completely, staging home invasion gone wrong. But too much evidence remained. Security cameras tracked every vehicle on their street. David's car contained GPS tracking from his insurance company. Emergency decision. Hide body temporarily in basement. They wrapped David in plastic sheets from Raj's construction site, securing him with duct tape like grotesque package. Behind the basement water heater, surrounded by Christmas decorations and forgotten storage boxes, David Morrison became anonymous bundle. Just until heat dies down, Asha told herself, sealing basement door with weather stripping. Few days maximum. March 21st, day 1 of performance. 6 a.m., Asha's alarm rang. She made David's breakfast exactly as usual. 2 eggs over easy, wheat toast, coffee with cream. She set his place at kitchen table, called upstairs, David, breakfast ready. You're running late. Neighbor Mrs. Peterson, walking her dog, waved through kitchen window. Asha waved back, pointing upstairs with exaggerated exasperation. Men never listen about time. 7:30 a.m., more theater. David, your presentation today. Don't forget, shouted to empty house. Throughout day, she texted David's phone, creating digital trail. Hope meeting going well. Made your favorite dinner. Missing you. Each message timestamp would later become evidence of loving wife's normal routine. But basement smell had begun. March 22nd, day 2 brought psychological warfare against her own sanity. Decomposition accelerated in heated basement. Sweet, cloying odor seeped through sealed door despite industrial air fresheners. When Mrs. Peterson mentioned interesting cooking smells, Asha claimed experimenting with traditional Indian spices, very strong fermentation process. Sleep became impossible. Every creak sounded like David moving. Dreams filled with his voice calling her name. She caught herself setting 2 dinner plates, talking to empty chair about David's day at work. Raj refused visiting. Too dangerous, he texted. Stick to plan. Alone with decomposing husband, Asha's mask occasionally slipped. She found herself crying genuine tears, not for David's death, but for loss of future she'd almost wanted. March 23rd, day 3, final performance. 9:15 a.m., Asha dialed 911, voice perfectly calibrated between concern and cultural confusion. Please help, my husband David never came home from work yesterday. I don't understand Canadian systems. Should I call someone else? Operator's patience with apparent language barriers bought credibility. Background sound of basement ventilation fan, running constantly to manage smell, seemed like normal household noise. Officers Rodriguez and Kim arrived within 20 minutes. Standard missing person protocol. Kind, accommodating, culturally sensitive. Asha wore traditional salwar kameez, prayer beads around neck, perfect image of helpless immigrant wife. House tour focused on main areas. David's car in garage showed no struggle signs. Missing work clothes from closet supported Asha's story. Officers noted loving family photos, Asha's obvious distress, no domestic violence indicators. His never stayed away without calling, Asha sobbed convincingly. Something terrible happened. Please find my husband. But technology doesn't lie. Cell tower records showed David's phone last pinged inside house Tuesday 9:47 p.m., exactly when Raj struck. Work parking garage footage confirmed David's car never left home Tuesday morning. Colleagues reported missing important client presentation, completely uncharacteristic behavior. Detective Sarah Martinez, 15 years experience, felt wrongness immediately. Cultural barriers explained some inconsistencies, but timeline gaps troubled her. During second interview, she noticed Asha's English improving dramatically under stress. Most immigrant wives panic completely when husbands disappear, Martinez confided to partner. She's almost too helpful, too organized. 48-hour missing person became potential crime. Search warrant expanded to full premises. March 25th, 7:15 a.m., cadaver dogs arrived. German Shepherd named Bruno hit immediately at basement workshop area. Handler confirmed, definite indication. Recent death. Officers descended basement stairs while Asha waited in kitchen, hands trembling perfectly. Behind water heater, wrapped in construction plastic, they found David Morrison's decomposed remains. Officer Rodriguez called gently, "We found your husband." Asha's reaction was flawless. Knees buckled, perfect fainting spell, awakening with confused questions. Found him? Where? Hospital? Can I see him? But Detective Martinez watched carefully. In 15 years, she'd delivered dozens of death notifications. Spouses always asked same first question, how did he die? Asha never asked. She inquired about location, condition, funeral arrangements, insurance procedures. Never once, what happened to him? As paramedics revived her, Martinez noticed something else. Asha's hands had stopped shaking. The performance was getting harder to maintain. Tomorrow, Forensics would process crime scene. They'd find microscopic blood spatter Asha mist, DNA evidence on cleaning supplies, carpet fibers on David's clothing. Most damning, bloody partial fingerprint on David's workshop table, preserved under layer of hastily applied wood stain. A fingerprint belonging to a legal immigrant named Raj Singh, scheduled for deportation but somehow still in Canada. The perfect murder was about to become perfect nightmare. When perfect plans meet reality. The forensic report that arrived March 27 shattered Asha's carefully constructed world in 37 devastating pages. Microscopic blood analysis revealed partial fingerprint on David's workshop table, preserved under hastily applied wood stain. Within hours, RCMP database matched print to Raj Singh, illegal immigrant with active deportation order. Digital forensics discovered Asha's hidden phone, encrypted messaging apps deleted but recoverable. Months of conversation history emerged. Murder planning, romantic exchanges, shared hatred of stupid white men who deserve whatever happens. Most damning, torn passport page found in kitchen garbage. Missing section showed Canadian tourist visa from August 2021, 18 months before claiming first time in Canada. Immigration fraud added to murder charges. Financial investigation revealed Asha's family medical emergency money, $35,000 David sent to India, went directly to online gambling sites, not dying mother or medical bills. March 28, 6 a.m., construction site raid. Raj's arrest was swift, decisive. Workers scattered as tactical teams surrounded concrete mixer where he'd been hiding. David's blood on work boots provided immediate probable cause. Under interrogation, Raj's composure cracked within hours. Full confession spilled out. Detailed murder plan, romantic relationship with Asha, shared targets research spanning 2 years. She wasn't innocent victim, Raj told detectives. Asha was mastermind. Chose David specifically. Studied his routines for months before meeting. International investigation expanded rapidly. Similar murders across Canada, United States, Australia emerged. Pattern identical. Young Indian women marrying older widowed men. Mysterious deaths within year, massive inheritances. March 29, Asha's final interrogation. Confronted with fingerprint evidence, phone records, financial fraud, her mask finally slipped. Perfect English emerged, cultural confusion disappeared. "I want lawyer," she said coldly, accent vanishing completely. "What about David?" Detective Martinez pressed. "Man who loved you, helped your family." Asha's response chilled seasoned investigators. David was lonely and stupid. Perfect victim. He practically begged to be murdered. Maple Dream's international investigation revealed horrific scope. Marriage agency was front for international murder-for-hire network. 23 arranged marriages across North America generated $4 to $7 million in inherited assets. Previous victims included Vancouver retired teacher Robert Chen, 2021, Edmonton engineer Michael Williams, 2022, Seattle businessman James Thompson, 2020. All lonely widowers. All mysteriously dead within marriage year. All survived by grateful young widows who disappeared after probate. But final revelation destroyed any remaining sympathy for Asha Morrison. Agency computer files revealed training documents in her name. Video recordings showed her instructing newer operatives, cry more convincingly. Learn his medical conditions first. Make them need you completely before killing. Asha wasn't desperate housewife driven to murder. She was senior operative who had trained dozen other killers across 3 countries. The woman crying over David's body had orchestrated at least 7 previous murders, including Vancouver grandfather whose accidental drowning she'd personally arranged. David Morrison wasn't her first victim. He was simply her latest contract. Some monsters hide behind wedding veils. The training videos found on Maple Dream's agency servers revealed the most chilling truth of all. Asha Morrison wasn't just a killer, she was a teacher of killers. Security footage from agency headquarters showed her conducting seminars for young Indian women, teaching them to weaponize vulnerability. "Cry from your chest, not your throat," she instructed one nervous recruit. Western men want to save broken birds. Give them exactly that. Her graduation resume was horrifying. Vancouver, August 2021. Robert Chen, 73-year-old retired teacher, found drowned in his own swimming pool 6 months after marrying Priya, a woman who looked remarkably like Asha but claimed different name. Edmonton, March 2022. Michael Williams, 61-year-old engineer, died from accidental insulin overdose administered by loving wife Sunita, who vanished immediately after inheriting his pension. Investigation revealed Asha's evolution from desperate immigrant to international serial killer. Each murder was more sophisticated than the last, methods refined through experience. She'd personally selected victims through dating sites, social media profiles, even church directories, targeting lonely widowers with substantial assets and minimal family connections. The trial began October 2024 in Calgary's Court of Queen's Bench. Media coverage was unprecedented. International news crews, documentary filmmakers, true crime podcasters all documenting the case that would redefine understanding of immigration fraud. Prosecutor Sarah Chen presented 8 months of premeditation evidence, encrypted communications, financial research, victim surveillance, murder practice sessions. Defense attorney tried desperately to resurrect the cultural victim narrative, claiming domestic abuse and immigration pressure. My client was exploited by system that treats immigrant women as commodities, defense argued. But Raj Singh's testimony destroyed any remaining sympathy. Asha was mastermind, he told packed courtroom. She chose David. She planned everything. I was just tool she used. Public opinion split dramatically. Online forums debated whether Asha was Black Widow killer or immigration system victim. Indian community struggled with protecting vulnerable women while condemning Asha's actions. International investigation exposed staggering scope. 34 arrests across Canada, United States, Australia dismantled network operating since 2018. Corrupt immigration officials who fast-tracked suspicious marriages, judges who rubber-stamped inheritance cases, agency owners who recruited vulnerable women, all connected to scheme that generated $4 to $7 million in stolen assets. 23 families finally received answers about missing relatives. David's estranged brother Tom attended every trial day. David just wanted to help someone build better life. Instead, he became prey to monster. November 2024. Verdict delivered. Asha Morrison, life imprisonment, no parole eligibility for 25 years. Raj Singh, 18 years for second-degree murder. Maple Dreams Agency, complete shutdown, assets seized for victim compensation. Legal reforms followed immediately. Enhanced background checks for international marriage agencies, mandatory counseling for spouse visa applicants, database tracking suspicious marriage patterns. David's estate, $2.8 million, was donated to immigrant protection organizations. Calgary's Indian community established support network for vulnerable women, ensuring no one else would face Asha's desperation without legitimate help. But perhaps most important legacy was awareness. Immigration officials now recognize signs of predatory targeting. Marriage agencies face increased scrutiny. Lonely widowers receive warnings about too-good-to-be-true international relationships. In final prison interview, Asha showed no remorse. I regret getting caught, not what I did. David lived comfortable life for 58 years. I gave him purpose during final months. Fair trade. Experts warn similar networks likely operate globally, hidden behind cultural stereotypes and immigration vulnerabilities. Community garden planted in David's memory blooms each spring in Calgary's Kensington district, where neighbors remember the kind man who just wanted to help someone, and the monster who destroyed him. David Morrison died believing he was saving desperate young woman. Instead, he became prey to one of the most calculating killers Canada had ever seen. Sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one everyone wants to protect.